It's actually really easy to talk about the Florida Panthers because the Florida Panthers have no flaws. They're a great team, and they're great in all areas. And they won the Stanley Cup last night. Let's start with that. They won the Stanley Cup for the second straight year. They went back-to-back. They defeated the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 last night in game number 6 of the Stanley Cup final. They dominated the series. When all push came to shove, it was utter domination. And that's kind of what I want to emphasize with this episode here. I want to emphasize over and over and over again how great the 2025 Florida Panthers are, and that's how they got it done with their 0 flaws. And I want to just put them in the category of one of the best teams we have in the salary cap era of the NHL. They can go toe-to-toe with any team, and we'll do that at the end. But let's just go through this team and explain how everybody's a good player. There's no problems with this team. Let's start with the forward group because the forward group is real special. 15 players touched the ice in the forward group for the Florida Panthers these playoffs. Of those 15 players who touched the ice, 14 of them put up at least 1 point in these playoffs, which is a spectacular feat. To pull up the lineup they played with last night, Puckpedia has it here. Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart, Rodriguez, Bennett, Tkachuk, Luostarinen, Lundell, Marchand, Greer, Nosek, and Gadjevich. That fourth line there, Greer, Nosek, and Gadjevich. In the playoffs, Greer had 3 points, Nosek had 3 points, Gadjevich had 3 points. But they're not there for the points. They won their minutes when they were out there on the ice. And early on in the playoffs, Paul Maurice stated how special the entire squad was. He liked the team better than last year's. But that fourth line is where he put the emphasis on this team, because for that money that they're paying those guys, Greer's making $850, Nosek's making $70-75, Gadjevich's making $775. They get some of the best fourth line minutes out of anybody in this league. I'll take that fourth line against anybody's fourth line. It dominates when they're out there against their opponents, and they're not tasked with doing a lot. You know, they averaged about 7 minutes a night for a couple of them. We can actually pull that up. I don't have to guess. Gadjevich played 7:37 throughout the playoffs. Greer played 7:38. Nosek played 11:10. When Sam Oskevich got in there, he played 11:20. When Nico Sturm was in the lineup, he played 8:59. They didn't ask these guys to do a heck of a lot, but they were great on the ice when they were out there. And for the rest of the forward group, we know the pieces with that. We don't really need to highlight that much, but we will give them their love, the big guys who got it done as well. And that's what you need in the playoffs. You need the depth. You need a full team performance. You need the big guys to show up. Barkov had some shaky moments in these playoffs, but Barkov did enough and was Barkov. And you got to remember, Barkov is always tasked with going out there against the toughest opponents. Like, I didn't like his game too much in the Leaf series against the Matthews line, but Matthews is one of the best forward centers in the entire league. It's going to be tough to stop Austin Matthews. And in the end, you know, that we know how that series ended. Barkov was very good enough, and Barkov always shows up. He's the captain. He's a leader. And then you have the guys around the captain who are the big names who did do more than enough to win this for the Florida Panthers. Let's start with Bennett. Don't really have to say much on Bennett. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. He finished with, let's just pull it up here, 15 goals, 7 assists, led the playoffs in goals. Bennett did the most out of anybody winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. Matthew Tkachuk is somebody that deserves, is it praise for what he played through? He's definitely a gamer for doing this. Matthew Tkachuk revealed during his post-game on the ice after lifting the cup that he tore his adductor. This BR Open Ice tweet says abductor, but I believe he tore his adductor muscle off the bone and had some hernia thing, which almost kept him out of the playoffs. I don't know if we should be praising somebody playing through a hernia thing and tearing a muscle off the bone, but he did it. And Matthew Tkachuk throughout these playoffs got better as things went along. The stat I want to emphasize that he finished with is 11 power play points. And the power play, when he couldn't skate around, you could tell those first 3 rounds, he couldn't do anything. That Stanley Cup final, he really got things going, but he was able to get his points on the power play early on because there isn't required a lot of movement on the power play. You can park yourself somewhere and get some points. And him getting those 11 power play points contributed to the Florida Panthers having I believe it is 24 25% power play in the playoffs here. 25.3% power play in the playoffs, which in the regular season is like top 5. So if you go to regular season power play, yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning finished with a 25.9% power play. So just out of the top 5, that would have put them at 7th overall behind the Pittsburgh Penguins in the regular season. That's a very good power play, and Matthew Tkachuk was effective when he couldn't be effective on the power play. And then in the Stanley Cup final, you saw him get truly effective as he got healthier as the playoffs went along. Their big guys showed up. Their depth showed up. Not done mentioning the big guys who showed up. Obviously, Sam Reinhart, 4 goals, not a hat trick. 4 goals in the clinching game. Can't ask for more than that. And then we have a couple of notes like this one about Anton Lindell. Dmitry Filipovich on Twitter, who said, Anton Lindell this postseason, Florida up 24-8 in his 5-on-5 minutes in the Stanley Cup final, up 8-3, while controlling 61% of expected goals and 64% of chances. 17 5-on-5 points, tied with Luostarinen for second most, only behind McDavid's 18. Just 2 goals against 37 shorthanded minutes. Unbelievable. What? Are you like Anton Lindell? I'm showing you the lineup once again. Anton Lindell plays on the 3rd line on the Panthers. It's a cheat code. That dude is as good as any first line center. He's as good as the guys all around him. And this team that has 0 holes because they have all the depth has Anton Lindell playing on that 3rd line. Luostarinen, we mentioned there briefly. Jackie Redmond had the tweet about Luostarinen. Players with more points at even strength than Luostarinen's 19 in the playoffs. McDavid, Draisaitl. That's it. That is the list, and that is a man who plays next to Lindell in that forward group. This team, that forward group, is absolutely ridiculous. On to the defense. I won't spend as much time on the defense because the defense kind of speaks for itself in that they play great defense, but they also can contribute offensively. I'm going to pull up the points from defensemen on the Florida Panthers this playoffs just to emphasize the amount of production you get out of this team. Ekblad had 13 points in 19 games. Nate Schmidt, 12 in 23. Seth Jones, 9 in 23 with 4 goals. Mikkola, 6 in 22. Kulikov, 5 in 23. Forsling, 5 in 23. Balinskis, 1 in 5. That's 7 defensemen who put up goals in this playoffs for the Florida Panthers. Getting that type of production from the back end isn't common. You don't get goals from this many defensemen throughout a playoff run. And like Forsling is still so underrated. Picking up Seth Jones, like Bill Zito did one hell of a job picking up Seth Jones at the trade deadline. He knew that he needed Seth Jones for next season because Aaron Ekblad is probably going to walk in free agency because somebody's going to offer him a lot of money. And he got that protection, and he got it for this year as well because he's been such a big force on the back end. And having having a 6 defenseman where Seth Jones gets to be protected and sheltered underneath Aaron Ekblad on that right side is a luxury that only a great team can have. It was Forsling, Ekblad, Mikkola, Jones, Schmidt, and Kulikov. And that is an unbelievable 6 you can roll out at any moment. And credit to Paul Maurice, as we should always credit the head coach who's captaining this thing. He does a great job deploying his defensemen. He does a great job coaching to a system where everything is clogged. I've said this before, but when you're playing the Florida Panthers, when you're trying to get through the neutral zone, it's madness because there's so many bodies in there. And when you're in the offensive zone, when you're the opponent, nothing is easy. Nothing gets to the net because he has these guys right at the front of the net guarding everything, and they know how to get their big bodies in front of those pucks and block a whole bunch of shots. And they made everything so difficult for the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final, and they made it difficult for the Hurricanes and the Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So That's the defense there. Paul Maurice, one of the best coaches. He's the coach. The forward group, we spent enough time on there. The forward group is amazing. There's not a hole in that group. I can't see one. Let me know if you see one. Haven't mentioned Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand deserves his own special little part here because Brad Marchand might be the most important trade deadline pickup that I've seen in my entire lifetime. This dude came over from the Boston Bruins for a second-round pick that eventually got upgraded to a first-round pick because they went deep into the playoffs. And he has been the heart and soul of the Florida Panthers. And it matters in hockey. It's stupid and it's weird and it's so exclusive to hockey, but it matters to have somebody who fits the culture of your team so well when they join your team. And Brad Marchand feels like he's been a Florida Panther his entire life. He's led this team in the media. He's led the team in the locker room. The whole Blizzards thing they had with Dairy Queen, like Marchand is the perfect Panther. And then he also did it on the ice. He did it off the ice and on the ice. Marchand finishes 6th in scoring for the Florida Panthers, 10 goals, 10 assists. There was a case there that if he went off in game number 6 against the Oilers, he could have been the Conn Smythe winner for the Florida Panthers, but he wasn't able to pass Carter Verhaeghe or Sam Reinhart or Matthew Tkachuk for the team lead in points. But if he had, Brad Marchand had a good case to win the Conn Smythe for this team. And I don't remember a trade deadline acquisition recently that had a great case at the Conn Smythe. I think he probably should have finished second. I don't have the voting in front of me for the Conn Smythe, but if I had a vote, I would have went Bennett 1, Marchand 2. And he's so important to this team. What a cheat code it was to get him. Just every big moment from these playoffs, Brad Marchand feels like he was in there for the Florida Panthers. And to cap things off, let's not forget about goaltending. The secret sauce on top of the Florida Panthers, where they have this awesome team, and then they also have one of the best goaltenders in the world in Sergei Bobrovsky, who had a .915 even strength save percentage these playoffs. Absolutely ridiculous. He had a .914 save percentage overall, .895 on the power play, and that .915 even strength save percentage is what I want to focus on. The dude was in every single game. When you go up against these opponents that, like the Edmonton Oilers, have flaws, and they had the biggest one in net, and you have this confidence where even if we might not have it tonight, at least we have Bobrovsky. At least we have that big force in the back of the net. And there are no errors with this team. Up and down the lineup in every single aspect, from the forward group to those individual efforts to the defense and how they play to the goaltending is otherworldly. They are an unbelievable roster and one of the best we've seen in the salary cap era. Now, if we go quickly to the list of Stanley Cup champions in recent memory, I think it is going to be hard to place them anywhere. But if I look quickly at these Stanley Cup champions and I'm trying to rank them, since 2006, I'm looking at the 2008 Detroit Red Wings, the 2012 Los Angeles Kings, the 2010 Blackhawks, and the 2022 Avalanche, and the 2020 Tampa Bay Lightning. Those are some of the best overall. I named a lot of teams there. We need to pare it down a little. The 25 Panthers. I'm going to leave off the 2020 Lightning off of that list. Colorado, I think, needs to make it. Colorado was so good that year. They were ridiculous. They let me see. They won the Central. They finished first in the Central, the first in the West. Yeah. I just want to see where they finished there in the standings. They went 56-19-7 that regular season. I think the Colorado Avalanche has to make the list of some of the best teams in the cap era. The 2011-12 Los Angeles Kings, I think, have to be on the list of the best teams because of how they went through the playoffs. I don't think I've seen a team dominate the playoffs like the 2012 Los Angeles Kings. They didn't have a good regular season. They entered the playoffs as a wild card team, but no team, I don't think, has dominated the playoffs like the Kings. And then one of these Penguin squads have to make it. I think it would probably be the 2009 Penguins is probably the best. I don't know. Because the 2009 Penguins beat the 2009 Red Wings, who are a good team. So it's probably the 2009 Penguins who would make the list. And then, like I said, the 2008 Red Wings. So if I'm ranking the teams in the Cap era Stanley Cup champions on who is best based on best, it's something along the lines of the 2008 Red Wings, the 12 Kings, the 25 Panthers, the 22 Avalanche, and 5 would be one of the Pittsburgh squads, the 2009 Penguins. I think that's my 5. Maybe this is a whole other episode. We go through the post-lockout Stanley Cup champions and we find a definitive ranking. Let me know in the comments on the Just Blake Sports Report, but those are my 5 right now, looking at the list there. All I want to say, and I did it for many minutes here, the Florida Panthers are a great team. The 2025 Florida Panthers are a great team and one of the best teams I've ever seen play hockey. Utter domination these playoffs. Don't take this as a sign that the Leafs are anywhere close to this team. They were not close to this team. I don't care how Game 3 went. They didn't do it, and they couldn't do it. And Games 5 and 7 were the true Panthers versus Leafs matchup. I don't even want to get into it. It's nothing. Don't think about that. Get that out of your brain. Mitch Marner's gone. Move on, Leafs fans. That is it for me right now. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be listening or watching right now, and I appreciate you for that. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to hit subscribe on the Just Blake Sports Report YouTube channel. This is also available on all your favorite podcasting apps. Good night from Toronto.